Mike Sullivan. Welcome to my YouTube station. Thank you very much for listening. Most of you know I've been a former IRS agent for 10 years. I've worked there a decade. I've been in private practice for 4 decades. I've been doing this 50 years. My friend here is a criminal tax attorney. The two of us are older than Methuselah, but yet here we're still alive. So anyway, I thank you for listening. I have a whole team of former IRS agents on staff. We've been doing this a long time. I do these videos for 3 reasons: to educate you, to inform you, and to make sure you don't really, in fact, get ripped off. Today I have a pleasure of introducing one of my friends to you, and he's on my team. You can look at my website, like I said, at 777irs.com. You can find him. He's a criminal tax attorney. He's been doing this, believe it or not, for 48 years. Doesn't he look good? Give him a hand today. How good both of us look. So anyway, David's started in California, wound up in Florida, and today we're going to talk about PPP loans. And just so you know, the government, if you don't know, the government has set up task force to go after PPP loan money was obtained by fraud. It's really low-hanging fruit because they don't have to do a lot of digging for that. It's not like a criminal investigation where they're finding money overseas and need this payroll and that payroll and need to contact this person. So David, our criminal tax attorney, David, explain to us what's going on in the PPP world and environment, would you, as you look at the camera and smile brightly for my audience. Thank you.
All right. Mike's audience. Hello, thank you for having me today. What's going on in the PPP world is actually well publicized, and that's that there was a bucket full of fraud that went on with regard to people who were making phony applications. They might have set up a corporation or an LLC, claimed that they had a bunch of employees, that they were otherwise qualified for the loans, and getting some of them hundreds of thousands of dollars in loans, and they didn't have one employee or even a business. Now, that may be a little bit exotic, but I happen to be working one right now where the total take out of this organization was at least $111 million. And we know that because of the indictments that have come down out of that. And I've got several people that I'm representing in this matter alone. Mike is exactly right. These matters are easy for the IRS guys to investigate because it is based on employees, and if you have employees, you are busy filing what? You're filing withholding tax returns on a monthly or quarterly basis. And it's real easy for them to go and check the ID numbers, the tax ID numbers of the claimant for the PPP loan against the withholding tax returns. Most of these guys, or at least some of them, don't even have any withholding tax returns. So that's what triggers the knock on the
David,
door.
let me ask you, how does IRS contact these people? Do they contact them by letter, knock on the door, and more importantly, what do they do when they hear of that, or get a letter or a special agent? What should that person do?
Well, first of all, there's 2 reasons or 2 different circumstances when the agent would come knocking on the door. One is he's got an arrest warrant for you because the grand jury has already issued an indictment with your name on it. The other one is they're actually doing an investigation before an indictment, and in either case you have the same response. They knock on the door, you identify yourself, don't run, don't hide, because otherwise they're going to come back with the meat grinders that are just going to break the door if need be, and you're going to look real bad and make matters worse. But you don't talk to them. And if you think you're going to talk these guys out of anything, you're just wrong. And the more you talk, the deeper the hole is dug. Because if you BS them at all, that's a potential another felony because they're criminal investigators of the federal government. And if you lie to them, that's another potential 5-year crime.
David, what can a person do who doesn't owe millions and millions of dollars, and let's just say they've taken a bunch of fraudulent loans out? what should they lawyer up at this point because all their information is on record? Should they get a criminal attorney and sit tight? What do you recommend they do at that point?
They absolutely need to get a lawyer, because you want to get the lawyer between yourself and the agents. And the lawyer can talk to them, an experienced one anyway, find out exactly what the problem is, or not exactly, get a pretty good idea as to where it's coming from. And from there, based on the lawyer's experience, have a pretty good idea as to where it's going. So you need to shut up, don't talk to them, thank them, tell them that you'll have their lawyer, your lawyer, call them.
Last question, David. How does IRS approach a person like this? Do they knock on the door first? Do they send a letter? Like when these, how's that going to go down for someone who has a fraudulent loan out there?
Well, usually they don't send a letter. Usually they show up, and what they do is they knock on the door. There's generally two of them, and you know, if they get the idea that you're trying to evade them, all that's going to happen is they're going to turn you over to the marshal's office, and those guys, their specialty is rounding people up, and you don't need that. You got enough attention as it is, and you need to be quiet. Just tell them, I'm going to have my lawyer call you. What they should do at that moment is stop talking to you, but oftentimes they'll try to get you to waive your right to remain silent. So you have to stay calm and you have to be firm. I'm not talking to you. I'm going to have my lawyer call you. Please give me your card and I'll do it.
As a former IRS agent, we're kind of trained to go out and kind of be very slick, and we have this approach, well, you know, we just kind of need this information from you, and you may say, well, is this serious? Well, we'll say, well, they're going to have all sorts of shiny ways to make you think you ain't going anywhere, but we don't know at the end of the day. Anyway, this is David Hoynes. If you think you have an issue, you may want to contact him. You'll find his information below. If you owe that money, and you may have to deal with me if you owe the debt to IRS, so you'll call me. So you may see one of the two of us. But anyway, thank you for listening. I appreciate you listening for my YouTube station. Please give me a subscription. That really helps me. I try to give you the information you need. By the way, if you have a YouTube you'd like David to do for you, like I said, he's on my team. He's a guest today. I'd love to have him back I don't know how much I can stand him actually, but I'd like to have him back more, but I'd love to have you ask him questions. Like I said, his email and phone numbers below. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate the subscription.